Hey folks, welcome to Green Hat Gardening. It's late February and I'm still tending to this garden mess. It's finally warmed up enough. I'm having to make sense of some of these old beds from last year. I'll show you what I'm doing. A lot of the older frames that I had are starting to degrade. You see the bottom boards off of that one. So now I'm trying to go back and undo what I did. We're sort of coming apart here. Having to use all kinds of things just to get these screws out. And what I'm going to do for these sections is use this little guy to help me. And in the future I don't have to worry about screws or nails or any of that kind of nonsense. Just slide in and straight out like that. For now I got to go around at least this bed. I'd like to get 2 beds done like this, but it may just be good enough for one today. Well, we got one of these finished, and I really like this look. Just these 4 little points here. You can see how easy it is. Well, it's hard to do it one-handed, honestly. Just pull the board straight out, replace it as needed. I got that in there pretty tight. Yep, that's gonna work great. Eventually, I'm gonna replace all of these beds like that as they degrade, maybe over the next year or 2. This will be a perfect setup. Maybe a little more in cost just for the cost of these stones, but that's alright. It'll pay for itself. So now we just have one more bed to do today, and I believe we're going to plant the onions today. We're going to plant the onions in these 3 spots right here. And I've come into a predicament here. We're using these blocks like I want to. I've kind of spaced them out here along the center row. I had intended on moving an apple tree back here, but looking at the spacing that I'm going to have, this already goes back, and there's just a handful of feet back to the fence. But I realistically am going to have to move this down maybe to here, because toward the front I have the space to walk in between. When I replace this garden with blocks, there's barely any room to walk in between here, and I've got to have more space. When I do that, then these will have to shift in conjunction with the others. I'm going to lose this bed against the greenhouse, which may not be a bad thing. It's hard to access to do maintenance on the actual greenhouse itself, and because of the way the property line is angled and the fence, I don't know that I have the room to give a proper walkway in between and a 6-foot girth over here to get 4 beds in, which is really what I need. So I think I'm in danger of losing at least 2 beds going with that method. But I think it's the method I have to do. I just have to figure out how to make this work now with what we had intended on planting this year. We'll see what other alternatives I might can figure out. I'm giving some thought to just the initial section over here being the greenhouse and this being open, which I would have to adjust these posts a bit somehow. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about that. But that will give this apple tree more room to grow, which it needs. And might be able to put some grow bags or a small garden back in this section here. Well, I persevered a bit and kind of got things like I wanted it, in spite of having to sacrifice some area back here. But But now we'll have these 3 beds. I think will all be onions. And then everything pushing up closer to the greenhouse. I may just have some pots in front of them instead. Maybe a little herb section or something here. I've been wanting to do that. That would be nice. But I'm happy to get some of these beds in place with these boards like this, and I really like the look. This will be such low maintenance for me going forward. No more nails or screwing or any of that kind of stuff, or anytime a board comes loose or I need to put a new one in, it's just be as simple as pulling this one up, put another one down. And now I've got to move these strawberry plants. Taking these out of this bed and transplanting, and then there's some that have died out in this bed and that. I think for now we're just going to keep this to 2 beds. I may intersperse some along the understory of the blueberries. I've considered doing that as a ground cover. You can see how the last cold spell really took a number on these, and we've lost some. So those will be good to fill some holes with. And then we'll see what we have left over for the other. They all have good, nice white fibrous roots on them. What I like to see. Soil is so loose, and they're so recently planted, you almost don't need this to help you get them out of the ground, except for maybe some of the bigger ones. I guess that's it for this late February edition of kind of the garden overview. And yeah, there's more problems, but I'd rather discover them now than in April when everything needs planted. There's still a lot of space to work with here. I've got plenty of room. It's a huge undertaking, but I just have to figure out how to make this work. Next time, keep digging, keep growing.